So to start, do you feel like there's a specific area of your gameplay that is lacking, relative to the rest that you feel is why you've either looked into getting, coaching, or is just a bigger flaw throughout your whole gameplay?
Um, I would say one problem I have is like if I like don't get the first stock,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I really struggle with like to get it back and bring it
Gotcha,
even real
gotcha.
quick. Cause especially because I play Pokemon Trainer, and that's like I have this dilemma: like, who do I pick? Like, do I try and get the stock with Squirtle? Like, do I like Squirtle can
Yeah.
take the like Squirtle is the hardest to hit, so sometimes I try and like get Squirtle, and then Ivysaur is the most well balanced. Charizard's the easiest to kill with, but also if that goes wrong, I can get like comboed easily. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
they each have their strengths and weaknesses. I can see where you're coming from with that. I think that the biggest thing I like to do when let's say my opponent takes the stock first is one. I mean, of course, I'll look at the percentage, like see what they're at. Was it like they took like a clean stock at an advantage? They have like a really big percent lead. Because if that's the case, you're probably gonna want to come down and try and play a more safe gameplay and kind of adjust your game plan so you're not just running them down or things like that, right? But if they maybe you guys were both kind of in like a back and forth, and then they happen to just take the stock first, but they're at a high percent, you can come down from that next stock and try and get an idea of what they're gonna do. If you're coming down from a stock and they're at a high percent, they're at the risk of taking theirs. You have the ability to one play a bit more aggressive because you have the invincibility, or you have
lost connection
you
for a
you
second.
kind of you're good, no worries. You kind of have the balls in your court, so to speak, because now it's on them to try and extend that stock, right? So you can play quote unquote aggressive, but you don't want to make it to where you're just like always running and throwing out buttons. It's kind of like abuse the fact that you think they're going to play maybe more safe, right? So if they
Mhm.
go for a bit more defensive options, or if they're holding shield a bit more, then you can just go for a grab, and you don't always need to like connect into a kill throw or down throw combo them or something. It can literally just be I grab them, I put them off stage, now they're disadvantaged. Now there's another chance for me to outplay them when they're in a bad spot, right? Like you don't necessarily need to quote unquote force it, but you still want to like kind of keep them on their toes. But let's play a few games, and I'll
Yeah,
see like how things are going for you, because it is very complex, especially with a character like Trainer who has
yeah,
so many different options at any given time.
yeah. I mean, individually, I don't think the Pokemon are that hard, but I think together they're
Yeah,
kind of like,
I mean it can be difficult to really figure out like the best way to use what the best use is for all three of them at any given moment. Nice. Yeah,
oh, that was
you gotta watch those jumps with the because of my desyncs. Going up to the platform isn't always like a good option. Ooh, no! Almost cost me that game. Oh, I tried to get my whistle out, but it was a little slow. Yeah, I mean, I thought you were doing, you got the lead. You were playing pretty good there. Like, I think I took the first lead, and then you caught me with the regular get up. You stayed with the patient. You kind of just kept the pace of the game going. Like, there wasn't really, like, a strong break, like, in the pacing, right? So, like, you lose a stock or something, and then you would get right back into it. And I think that was good. Huh?
Yeah. One thing I noticed in that game, and it's just a habit I have in general, like, if like someone's at a percent window, like let's say someone's around like in your case almost around like 70-ish%, 75, I'll stay Squirtle and I'll spam F tilt because I really want that jab block.
Oh yeah.
And like in the process of that, I'll take like 40% or like some large percent, and then I'll be fishing for that one option. It won't be worth it. Like it just.
That's one of those things where you have to like, really kind of talk yourself through it mentally so that you're not like constantly fishing for it. Like if you catch yourself doing it, you got to be like, tell yourself in your head like, okay, I need to stop that. I went for it once or twice. Or you get punished once and it's like, okay, I get it. It's not gonna work right now. They've caught on, right? And that's just a kind of like a mental awareness that you're gonna have to train for yourself. Because like, I mean, I do the same thing sometimes with Olimar too. Like I'll be in disadvantage, and I'll be like, I'll try and land when I like with a hitbox when I have no business doing it, and I just take so much more damage than I need to, and then it can, it's cost me actual games. So it's like, it's something that even I'm still like constantly getting better at. It's like making sure that I'm not letting myself get into these crazy autopilot states or this super like linear like mindset, and I'm recognizing when things aren't working and I'm going, okay, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter how bad I want it. I'm not going to get it right now. Or maybe I'll go for it later on or something. Oh, I got greedy.
Yeah, you called that out.
It was a mix of like, even had you gone for Fire Breath, I was really preparing for it by using that red. Something you want to keep in mind with Olimar too is like, if you're coming from that like a downward diagonal angle, kind of like a 45 degree, but on top of me at the ledge like that, I can oftentimes catch a lot of hitboxes. Like by throwing out F smashing, being like under you as you're falling, because you usually won't have a hitbox right under you when you fall, right? If you're trying to hit me, so that's something to keep in mind. But that game was just like a shift. Like I played game one, I got a little bit more accustomed to online. I kind of adapted to your play. So like going to game 3, let's see if you can pinpoint where you were going wrong in that last game, and then we can talk about it after that.
Yeah.
You cannot shield grab a fresh purple up smash with Ivysaur.
Yeah, that's a bad habit I have.
A lot of people have it, don't worry.
You really shouldn't even use Ivysaur grab unless something.
Yeah, because it's what I think frame 8, I believe, or like frame 8 before the extra 4 frames kick in.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Olimar's short, so it's really easy for him to like low profile certain things like that unless you're perfect with the timing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't.
So,
Honestly,
sorry, go on.
yeah, that's a bad habit I have. Like I used to play Smash 4 on the 3DS, so I would only be able to grab like with my controllers by shield grabbing. So sometimes I do
Oh,
shield grab
gotcha.
instead of normal grab. Yeah.
Yeah, so, uh, the shield grabbing thing is definitely a habit you want to break. It's one of those things where you're going to need to like force yourself to not necessarily unlearn that specific habit, but instead get your mind to like get better at calling yourself out when you mess up in any scenario, right? So it's like in that instance, it was don't shield grab. Like you know that is not safe. That is a scenario that you got punished for twice. It was the exact same. It's a purple up smash, shield grab, right? Like if it was a blue, you could have
Yeah.
shield grabbed, right? But there's that difference. So you're just every time you're messing up, like it's okay to not necessarily get it the first time. You're not gonna always be able to get yourself to like, to identify what happened or to get it through your head the first time. But in that instance, when it messes up, you gotta go. You just tell yourself mentally, or even out loud if you need to, just be like, don't shield grab that. Don't do that,
Yeah.
and that's gonna help practice that. It's almost like it's that mental memory essentially where you're identifying general patterns, or even scenarios, and it's like something doesn't work. You're gonna commit it to your memory, and then when you see it happen again, you're probably going to go, oh, wait, I can't punish that. It's safe here. Just like how you know not to punish an Inkling back air, right? Like, you don't try to shield grab Inkling back air. You know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's the same thing for up smash. It's like just because it's a different move, you still need to, like, train yourself to identify it as certain in like, a safe or not safe camp. So whenever we're playing these games, really just, like, ask yourself, or call yourself out, I guess, mentally, like when something bad goes wrong. Like you get hit, be like, okay, why'd I get hit? Oh, I tried to shield grab that.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried to roll here when it wasn't properly safe or something like that. Or I tried to roll at the ledge when I did it too many times. And that's gonna help you kind of train yourself to keep calling yourself out. And you're gonna do that in friendlies, and then you're gonna do it in bracket, and it's just gonna be better overall.
Yeah.
But other than that, I felt like the general match was all right. I was catching you with a lot of stuff. Like you definitely don't have a ton of Olimar experience. And I'm just getting you like I'll catch you swinging too much at a disadvantage, especially with someone like Squirtle, where you'll try and like fair when you're at that like 45-degree angle. I'm like, I'm gonna hit you, or you'll try and land with this button, and I'm like, you don't have the range for that. Maybe with someone like Ivysaur, where you can try and do a back air or a down air or something like that, or a forward air. It's a little bit more easy to catch me, or Charizard with his like nair. But even then, it's like you got to be smart about coming at a disadvantage. Maybe you should just neutral air dodge to the ground, or air dodge away, or jump away, or maybe even swap Pokemon after I whiff. So just being careful about like picking those options. Don't always like feel the need to swing as like a response to something.
Yeah.
You want to let yourself identify the scenario you're in and go, okay, is it appropriate to swing here? Yes or no. You won't always have the right answers. Sometimes you're just gonna evaluate wrong, but it's still important to do.
Yeah.
Like right there, you swung. Granted, it was with Ivysaur, but it's like I was kind of the spacing I was at. You just weren't going to catch me unless I went all the way in for like my own aerial or something. And even then, you still ran the risk of getting hit before your move even came out.
Yeah, I was late with that.
There, I messed it up. But even that whole stock was you taking a lot of damage because you were trying to force something. Like, it started out with a flare blitz, and then it was the back throw to the back air. And it's like, yeah, you can go for those, but like when you come down just swinging like that, especially against a more experienced opponent, it's going to be a lot easier for them to identify that you're trying to force the game in your favor, right? Like, if I see you come down as Charizard, no less, I'm already on edge, especially if I have a lead, because I'm like, he's going to try and equalize this game now. So I'm going to try and play in a way that's a little bit more, I guess, careful. It's like, yeah, you can grab me, but, you know, you're not going to be able to backdoor me, because I'm going to already be ready to DI out. Or if you go for a flare blitz, I might be more careful about hitting my techs and things like that, or shielding at certain spacings.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, that was nice.
So when you're coming down from that stock, it's fine if you want to stay Charizard if you feel like you might have an easier time getting the kill. But maybe instead of always going for that, I'm gonna force this option. I'm gonna force him to die right here. Kind of like, oh, maybe I'll get on the ground and I'll abuse some of my ground speed or my air speed and try and catch him with like a a foxtrot in and out or a dash dance in and out. Maybe like F tilt, tip or F tilt, or grab him, forward throw him, and then be ready to maybe try and edge guard and maybe go for a dare on his 2-frame, run off fair. Maybe he's not ready for it. Not just I hit you and I swing for this crazy move and you die right here. Like, if I want to hit your shield with something unsafe and you're like, oh, you hit me with something unsafe, let me up smash, let me up it. That's fine. And it's fine to go for those hard reads if you're really confident. But, like, maybe do it once. If it doesn't work, adjust. Go, okay, this isn't going to work.
I think I messed up the tech chase.
Yeah, with the flare blitz.
Yeah, like I was like preemptively reacting to it, and then I realized, oh man, I was too slow, but I did it anyways.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. That happens to me sometimes. Like, you input it, and you're like, I already know this. I did it wrong, but it's, like, too late to pull back.
Yeah. And I think with the way you teched, it would have been stock if I had.
It probably would have been due to my percent.
Yeah, especially you being so light. And I think you tech rolled out. I'm not sure.
I went in, I think.
Oh.
Because if I recall, I crossed you up.
Oh.
I didn't need to do it, and I shouldn't have done it, but it was worth it. Like that, I just waited for you to parry. Like, I definitely went for a bad punish relative to it, but it was like, you saw me just wait, right? Like, I knew you were going to land with that hitbox, and I was just going to punish you because of it. So I want to swap off Olimar and just go someone a bit more straightforward for you so we can kind of focus on more of the fundamental problems with you. Because when we're playing right now, like, I'm definitely seeing instances where, like, you're just not as accustomed to either Olimar or you're not maybe watching my lineup as well. Like, right there I had the blue, and it was just like, had you maybe landed and jumped away, you would have risked dying to something else potentially, but you would have died. The shielding kind of sealed your fate in that grab was going to come. So I'll try swapping off someone else, and I want to be able to try and work on maybe something that you're like these more fundamental things.
Yeah,
so
you're gonna play like Lucina, or
is that a character that you tend to struggle with, like a standard top tier, or is there
no?
in mind?
No, it's not really that. It's more of a like Olimar is like a different game. Like,
oh
Lucina is more standard.
Oh yeah. Is there a specific top tier you find yourself losing to in bracket often?
I'm not really. I feel weird. I feel comfortable against most top tiers.
Okay.
But like, it's a low tier. It's like Isabel.
The random characters that you have like no experience first who hit you with mix-ups. You're like, I didn't even know you could do that. That makes sense. I'll try Lucina a couple games, and then maybe I could go someone a bit more like, I guess, unique, and then we'll see how you're handling some of those mix-ups. Because Olimar's kind of like that uniqueness, but also just like crazy strong too. So it creates a really difficult environment to deal with. But no, we'll try Lucina and go from there.
Yeah.
Gotta watch falling with those hitboxes, especially with Squirtle, just because due to the range not being that good.
I always forget how like much kill power Lucina has.
Oh yeah.
That back air.
And it's like you don't even have to space it a certain way. It's like I clip you with it anyway, you're gonna eat it, you know? I tried to parry him a little too early on that. Oh wow, delayed the jabber so slightly. Honestly, I messed that up there, but you should have died for trying to shield grab another option you didn't. Like had I spaced that up appropriately, or like had I adjusted myself accordingly, like you gotta watch out on those spot dodges, right? Or those shield grabs. Like if I would have just spot dodged there, maybe instead of up being or something like that, or if I would have F smashed you, you probably were gonna lose your stock.
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure to be calling that out, or like calling yourself out on that, because you're the only person who can really get yourself in gear in a serious set. So every time you're getting punished for it, even if it's a light punish, or if you know you should have got punished, just like tell yourself like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. You know, there's a couple instances there where you're still swinging to the disadvantage. Those are like the two biggest things I'm seeing, because like you're letting your opponent kind of get more than they deserve. You're kind of handing it to them almost, and you want to ideally make them work a lot harder than they need to try and get any win really, like any interaction win or stock or anything like that.
Oh yeah. Because sometimes I just want to throw out hitboxes, especially when Squirrel has such good frame data. It's real easy to just kind of mash sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest, that's Ultimate in a nutshell. Like, there's a lot of characters that are just like, I can throw out hitboxes, you can't stop me, right? But the reality is, yeah, they can stop you. And the good players are going to do it, right? Like, they're going to let you throw out hitboxes where you don't hit anything, so it doesn't even matter how good the frame data is. Oops, a little slow there. Should look that, yeah.
Yeah, I should have backed up. I was like debating about whether or not I was gonna hit the platform or not.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a terrible option, but like, could have gotten more off it.
Up smash probably would have been better there, just because I went for the
I was just thinking about that. Like that was my bad. I have a bad shield grabbing habit.
Yep.
where I fit.
Oops, that's supposed to be down here. Like, I'm content with just grabbing you over and over again. If I'm not confident that I can get a kill, it's like, okay, let me just keep putting you in the spot where you're in a terrible position. You just saved me.
Oh, did I save you? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's fine. I'll slowly do it. I have a nice lead. Like, yeah, you could potentially get, like, some crazy, you know, you could do something like that, right? And that was my fault for maybe putting in a lot of interactions, not capitalizing enough off of it. But I'm not trying. I can't force things too much. It's just not going to work. Nice, nice. That was pretty good. I think you were doing a little bit better, at least verbally calling out your like bad out of shield game option there, like how you knew you were like, okay, I shouldn't have shield grabbed there. So it's just training yourself to not flinch when you're getting hit, when you're in disadvantage, when you're losing. It's like you have to have as much thought when you're losing, when you're getting hit, as you do when you're hitting someone or when you're trying to find the opening to hit someone, right? Because like when you're in neutral, you're thinking about it. You're actually going, okay, let me throw the hit here. You know, it might look like you pressing a lot of buttons sometimes, or anyone's doing it, but it's usually very calculated. They might whiff a lot, but that's like a calculated whiff for a lot of players. You have to do the same thing when you're losing. It's like, okay, why am I losing now? I need to really outplay my opponent here and just think ahead of them, or they're just going to keep beating me.
Yeah. Also, like I feel like a lot of my mistakes are mental. Like I feel like whenever I have like a really good opponent, like that I know I can lose to, like I play my best because I'm not like my mind is only concerned about like playing. Like I'm not stressed about winning. Like I don't expect to in a way. But then when I have like someone who I know is going to be really even and competitive, that's when I start to make a lot more of my mistakes. Like.
That's actually a really common thing. It's like you'll struggle more almost with players that are worse, right, than with the really good ones. And a lot of the time, I think that's because, one, you might give those worst players. You don't know the proper amount of respect to give them when you're playing them, right? It's like, should I assume that they'll parry this or dodge that or do this, right? So you don't know. So maybe you play it a little too safe. It's something that I and a lot of players I know struggle with. Like, I hate fighting, the early rounds of a pool match because I don't know how good this player is. Whereas if I fight someone like Samsora, I know what I'm getting in for, and it's a lot easier to deal with because I know what to do already. So it's like just finding that fine balance between giving them respect that they deserve and kind of going, okay, no, I'm actually just better than you, so I don't have to do that, right? And that's why I personally like to start out my sets with people like that, maybe a bit more reserved, starting like, okay, let's see what you know. And then kind of as you play them, you'll kind of see how they're responding to just general gameplay, like your standard your standard shield pressure and all that stuff. And once you get an idea, you can kind of crank it up a notch and really try and exploit their gameplay. But you need to have this foundation of like how to play your character regardless of if it's a good player or a bad player. And a lot of players don't actually know how to play their character. I found that if you ask them, they're like, I think I do this, but when in reality, they're kind of like autopiloting a lot and they can't be super intentional about it. And I'm not saying you need to be able to like tell somebody how to play the game or like how to play your character. But that's why consistency is so hard to find in a lot of cases, right? Like some days you'll play out of your mind and you might get top 8 at your local or whatever, and the next day, the next week you'll get like 25th, and you're like, this doesn't make sense, right? Like I was just playing good.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of players, even really good players, struggle with. It's things like majors, but it's just understanding how to make the most out of your gameplay and why certain options you do work. And if you can figure that out, you're going to be able to like fight those mid-level players, and you're going to know, okay, I
Yeah.
know if I up smash you here, it does this. I know if I grab you here, it does this, and it's going to be consistent. And then you can go, okay, let me start out with my normal game plan, and I'll start applying mix-ups as the game goes on, and kind of test your own knowledge.
Yeah. Like it's like whenever I play, like I remember I was on the Smash Alleys and I
Yeah,
had Uncivil and I was like, oh, I'm probably gonna lose that set. You know, he's
yeah,
like top QPR. But then like when I was playing, the game felt slow and I was like, I took the first like two, I took the first stock like, and I had the stock lead going
yeah.
until the end, and then I got a little bit reserved. I kind of played really repetitive. I started doing the same option again, but it was like competitive and it caught me off guard. But it felt like the game was slow.
And that was probably because you were more confident, not necessarily that you would win, but you were like, I'm like you saying earlier, you're here to try your best, and that's the most important thing. You know, like that's all you can really do and hope it works. Whereas with like a worse player, you're gonna try that, but there's also that fear of like, okay, but what if it doesn't work? I shouldn't be losing to this person. I think I can beat them, and you're too focused on the win itself, right? And you're not letting yourself
Yeah.
kind of just like play the game like how you know. So it's like when you go in to fight people like Uncivil, you've essentially stopped caring about just the win. Like, yeah, as the set goes on, it might creep into your head if you're up or something, and you'll get a little like nervous. Like that's totally normal. It happens to the best of us, right? Nerves happen, but you're there. You're like, okay, I don't have some secret trick to win. I know I just have to outplay him, and you let yourself kind of be at peace with the game, and that's something that you're probably going to keep working on as you're improving. But when you go fight those players who are similar skill level, just go in and just be like, all right, let's play. Let me do my thing. Stop worrying about the win. Who cares how good they are?
Yeah.
I go into my pools matches at majors, and I treat every single person like I could lose to you. I give them enough respect to knowing I could lose to you, and it sometimes it backfires because maybe I give them a little too much respect. But I usually wisen up early on, and it's like, okay, I know exactly how to fight you, and as long as I do my job, I'll be all right.
Yeah. I, I try and tell myself it's a process of like learning. So if I lose, there's a lot to learn from
Oh
that.
yeah, and like I
But like
go on.
but it's easy to say that like, oh, I can lose, it's fine. But it's like when you're in the middle of a set and you're like, oh man, like
Yeah, it's not actually fine, and you don't want to say it's fine to lose in the beginning. You're there to win. You want to give it your all, but it's that losing is fine thing is more of it's an after the fact thing. It's like you lost. It's like, okay, I lost, yeah, but I've adapted. I recognized why I lost. You were able to figure it out so you can try next time. But in that game, it's like you want to win and you're gonna do everything you can. And don't think about like, oh yeah, it was fine that I lost there, because it really wasn't. Like, it's
yeah,
it's not okay there, because that's why you compete. You care about what you're doing.
yeah. No, but it's more like it's not about the result. It's about like you don't like obviously you compete for results, but I try and think like
Oh, like, are you saying when you fight someone like Untouchable, you care less about the result and more about just playing your best?
yeah. No, but even against like someone who I know I can beat, but it's like it's more along lines of it's not like don't beat yourself up if you lose. It's just whatever you do, like you obviously want to win, but if you don't, it's just more about the effort, like
Yeah.
and what you can learn from it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I like that's not really defeatist. It's more like don't
You're kind
stress
of
losing.
accepting that it happened and you want to move on and be better for next time.
Yeah,
That's a good mentality to have, because it's like you're going to lose and it's going to suck and you're going to feel like you just put in a lot of work. But it's like, as long as you're still competing, it's not over. And that's something that, I myself have really struggled with just a lot over years. Because it's like, I go to every tournament with the intention of wanting to win, but I can't always do that. And I have to accept that, yeah, I lost, I lose, and it's not the end of the world, but I'm going to keep trying. That's why I keep going to these things.
yeah,
And it's like, don't get complacent, but it's totally acceptable to feel angry and mad about those losses. Like, oh shit. Like a lot of people, they'll be like, don't get angry, it's like, no, go get angry. Let yourself feel that actual emotion on something you're invested in and that you weren't good enough for your standards. But use that kind of as a fuel for next time, right? Like, use that to go like, okay, I lost to this Lucina player. Well, why? Oh, I was getting punished all the time here. And then you go and you adapt and you learn how to not get punished by that.
yeah. I remember, and also, I one thing I struggle with is like when I have leads, I try to like I struggle with playing with the lead sometimes. Like I had a set against Evil Goku, like one of my first prisms where I had like a huge lead. Like I was charged up, like I was like at 0%,
Yeah.
and I had like two stocks, and he was at like 100 on his last stock, and it was game three. And like by all accounts, I should have won that. In my head, I was almost thinking like, man, I won this set. I just gotta play it smart. And then when I lost, like I got really tilted, and then it carried over to my next game too.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen. Like I've had those sets with me where like you're winning, and you just blow it, and then you end up losing a set because of it. It's like if I just won that one game, and that's one of those you have to kind of allow yourself to step back for a moment and go, okay, I should have won there, yes, but I didn't. I did something to where it didn't pan out the way I wanted. So you need to maintain that same I can win mentality, not I should win. You never want to feel like you should have something because that entitlement it will encourage you to play in a way that isn't always doesn't always produce the results you want because you're not actually owed anything. You don't deserve a win ever. You might work for it, and you still lose because of one interaction. Well, you didn't deserve it because that one interaction said otherwise. Like that's the game we play.
Yeah.
That's Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
So you want to approach it with the I can win and I should and I know I'm able to win. And when things go wrong, you have to try and tell yourself like it's okay, I lost. Let me adjust my strategy accordingly. You don't want to go in there with the same exact strategy you had in game one because bet is your opponent's already adapted. That's why they won the last game or something like that. And you got to still be evolving as the set goes on. And that's another one of those skills that takes a long time to really develop. Letting yourself reduce tilt. That's something I even struggle with. Top players struggle with. You hit a top player with some cheesy ass thing, they're gonna be mad, right? Look at Smash 4 and Bayonetta. Top players would get bayoed all the time, and it would absolutely tilt them.
Yeah.
And they would try to fight it off, but it couldn't always be done. But that's a skill you're going to refine over time. Letting yourself have the calmness to really be like, okay, I think I can do, or I know how to do this. I can do it. It's not gonna be a problem. And just keep talking yourself through it. And that's the biggest thing that you should pull away from everything we've talked about is like communicating with yourself, understanding that it's okay to get angry, but maybe hold that anger off later. You get hit by something stupid, be mad about it later. Focus on the set now. Brush off. Be like, all right, I got punished there. Don't do that option again. And then be after the set. Be like, wow, Palutena is really stupid. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try swapping to a more niche character. But go on.
Yeah, and one thing I struggle with is like sometimes I play like by the nature of my character, it's like I'll play Squirtle and I'll rack up like 70-80%, and then I'll switch to Ivysaur and I'll really struggle and it becomes more even. And then I'm thinking like, man, I was just at like an 80% lead.
Yeah.
Now it's like, and then I have to like kind of bring myself back to saying, and then I struggle like, oh, should I use Squirtle more? Am I overusing Squirtle? Am I underusing?
It's important to identify, I think, with trainer. It's like, okay, let's say you got him to 80 with Squirtle. Okay, well that's what Squirtle does. That is his primary to-go thing, and you were using his movement to your advantage, and you were able to use his speed, and you switch to Ivysaur and you're losing. It's like, okay, well, switching might have not given you the same playstyle, and you might not have adjusted your playstyle enough to where now you could really abuse someone like Squirtle or someone like Ivysaur, and they caught on. But that doesn't mean you necessarily need to stay just on Squirtle. You could definitely try it again if you get a chance, but there's a good chance they could have adapted. But instead, look at yourself and go like, okay, what am I doing wrong with Ivysaur, as opposed to like, oh, I need to stay Squirtle. Like, yeah, Ivysaur just might not be the answer there, but you want to know why it's not working, right? Not just that it's not working. And that's something to pay attention to, like what's getting punished. Okay, are they punishing these certain options from you? Well, what worked with Squirtle there? Oh, I was able to get in because I had safer shield pressure on the ground. Okay, well then maybe you need to swap up how you're pressuring with Ivysaur.
Yeah. I see that too. I also I noticed I use Squirtle a lot more than most Pokemon trainers. Like most of them get to like 60 and then they work with their Ivysaur and stuff.
Yeah.
But I try and get like my opponents really like as high as like I can. And sometimes I let my percent dictate that. Like once I feel like Squirrel's in a position where he can die really easily, like then I'll switch. So it's like sometimes I don't even let my opponents dictate that.
And that's fine. Like the Pokemon Trainer is one of those characters where you're gonna have your own style on it. Like look at Tweak, he uses Squirtle a lot compared to some of the other Pokemon Trainers, or he switches a lot more. Like you can have your own style as long as you're making it work. But with a character like Pokemon Trainer, it's a bit hard to always identify where you need to be swapping, and that's something that you're just gonna learn more over time. But like, don't feel like you have to like always swap to Squirtle in this instance, or always play Charizard when it says it. Like, if you think Squirtle can do it and you're confident, go for it. But if it doesn't work, that's when you kind of look at it and go, okay, why didn't this work here? Would, maybe Charizard have been better?
Yeah. The only thing I struggle with is sometimes it's like, wait, am I missing my kill confirms to Ivy? Is that why I'm not getting like early kills, or am I like?
Yeah, I mean sometimes you're going to just not be playing one of the Pokemon that are good that day. That's a totally feasible thing. Like that happens with people and other characters. Like some days your one character's not moving as well as the others, and it's gonna suck, and you want to play to minimize that as much as possible. But you kind of just accept that and maybe try and play the others and do the best you can. While also working to minimize those downtimes, like recognize why you're not playing that good and see how you can fix it.
Yeah, like I watch a lot of, I try to watch a lot of like varying levels of Pokemon training, like people around my level, like people that maybe are like PR'd in their region but they're not like PTR, and then like the high level ones like Puppet, Pandarian, Tweak, Ned when he played them.
And that's good.
So
you can definitely pull a lot from a bunch of different play styles and skill levels even. Like, especially when you're someone who's on that, like, kind of mid-level area where they're a lot more even to your skills. Like, you maybe other local PR trainers, right? You can be like, okay, how are they doing it here? Oh, they're doing this. All right, that's cool. But then you might see, like, someone like Ned or, another top trainer. They might not do it. But if that other trainer's doing it and it's working, maybe you could figure out why it's doing it and try and incorporate it into your play. And then, oh, that was so bad. And then you're able to, like, develop that own gameplay style where you don't have to do what all the top players do.
Yeah. One of the guys I watch is, like, Beast. He's from, like, Philadelphia, and he's a very Zard-dependent trainer, which I don't think is ideal, because Zard's probably the worst one in my opinion. But it's, like, some of the stuff he does with Zard, it's, like, that is really creative, and I can use it, even if it might not be, like, perfectly ideal at top level.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was good. Oh, wow. No, I can live that. I let go of my stick. And that's good. Like, if you can pull useful information from that person, you can incorporate it into your gameplay while not also having its flaws, right?
Yeah.
And that's good to have. Like, if something, if you compare, like, the three big Olimars, right? We all do things specifically that are really good, and we all have our own weaknesses as players. Ideally, though, if you were to mix all of our best traits, you're going to have a really crazy playstyle and a really crazy character without any of the downsides, ideally. And that's what you want to achieve when you watch these other players. And that's why people review things. So I think that's good that you already have that, like, all right, I can pull things from these other players. They don't need to necessarily be a top player, or they don't need to be the best all around. If they do this one thing that works really well, that I can take and incorporate into my own.
Yeah. And also, I'm really new to, like, Smash, too, so it's, like, there's also just, like, basic things, like, I was playing a 1-year one day, and he's like, you can, read the double jump, because there's, like, a circle around, and it's, like, I'm still learning a lot of these new things, so...
Oh, yeah. If you're newer, there are a lot of, like... Oh, oops. There are a lot of, like, little, like, quirks and things about the game that is going to take you a bit to learn, but, I mean, that's alright, like... You can't rush improvement. Like, if you try and time gate yourself into this, like, I have to be this good by a certain amount of time, you're just going to get frustrated. Because if you don't reach that level, then you're just not going to be happy. And then you're not going to want to do it anymore, right? So it's like, it's okay to go, all right, well, let me learn these things as they come. And definitely do your own homework, of course. Learn more about the game if you can. But don't force it, Just accept how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll catch them.
Yeah. Missed that. I just wasn't expecting to tech it. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Like, you weren't even considering it. And that's something that you wouldn't really need to worry about on most characters except someone like Greninja.
And I feel okay against Greninja because I played against, like, a few. Like, I played against Cox, I played against Ron. So
yeah.
I kind of know a little bit of the matchup, and it's a really popular character. But that's kind of stuff, like when I play against, like, random Isabel or random DK, I'm like, what?
Honestly, a rule of thumb I would just recommend is, like, if you're off stage, just assume that you're going to need to tech. Always be ready for it. And like you're gonna change it based on the character you're fighting. So if you're fighting someone like Greninja, you know, you need to keep in mind that they can teleport. They have a move like that. Oh my gosh, I thought the dash grab was going to get you. So if you're fighting an Isabelle, when you're off stage, you have to be aware that she might hit you with her fishing pole. Like,
Yeah.
that is just general character knowledge. Like, would you say you know every character's move in the game? Like, you know what every move Duck Hunt can do. You know every move that Isabelle can do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most.
If you know it's like Duck Hunt does Clay Pigeon, Duck Hunt does Can, you are going to adjust your play accordingly so that when you're off stage, one, always assume you might need to tech. Like, they could hit you with something you might not expect, but you still want to be ready for it. But two, like, when you're fighting Greninja, you go, okay, Greninja can Shadow Sneak, Greninja can counter, I have to be careful of those. Oh, Isabelle can do this, Isabelle can pocket, I have to be careful of that. Oh, you know, Olimar can whistle, Olimar can throw a purple side beat him off stage. And those are things you just have to be careful for. And, like, yeah, you'll still get caught with mix-ups that you weren't expecting, because that's how just players do it. They hit you with things that you might not have been ready for. But it's like, you can't, like, assume that they don't have any option just because they're in a spot where you're not expecting it, right?
Yeah.
Like, just because you're winning doesn't mean you're winning.
Yeah, like that happens a lot with me. Like, I'll be setting up a chef chase, and I'll feel like, man, I'm gonna get it eventually. Like, he's overcommitting to stuff, and he'll like Charizard has like Nair to Flare that's confirmed to around like 50.
Yeah.
And they'll be at 50, and I'll be at like one like 40, which is what I want to be because I want Raid so it kills. And I'll feel like I'm in a good position. I'll feel like, oh, it's even if I can get that Nair. And like, I'm just surprised how few like I assume like I'm fishing for it because I know Pokemon Trainer a lot, but people just play it normally like.
Yeah, because not everyone thinks about it, and that's something you can exploit. But in certain areas, like on stage, that's a bit different. When you're off stage, like, you need to be ready for them to swing. Especially if their character has an option where they can do that. Someone like Greninja who has Shadow Sneak, where he can teleport. Oh, dang. A little slow there.
I just started using like Charizard to up smash.
Oh, it's
like
so
I used
good.
to, man. I used to get most of my kills with like throws or like I don't know, like some Nair edge guard. But then I realized I can just spam that.
Yeah, it's
Not spam, but like
it's
like,
an amazing catch option. It's a multi-hit, so it can catch people well. It's a great out of shield option. I think it's frame 6 or 8. It's like one of those. So it's a good option. So that's something
it's
you can
frame
keep,
6.
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
And that's really good for out of shield options. Like, that's in the upper tier, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's the fastest. Smash. Oh, I keep on messing up that jab block. Like, I don't anticipate it's gonna hit, and then I always miss the reaction on it.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Oh.
I should have went up here to the side. I thought I would be able to recover with the down, but that was an instance of like I was ready for your drop down up B, Because it was like, that's such a common Ivysaur thing, right? Like, I knew you're at ledge, you haven't been Ivysaur in a while, I ran up the ledge, you're going to try and drop down uppy. So I punished you, and I messed up my punish. But that's one of the things where, like, when you're in the lead, right? Maybe you want to go for the unorthodox option. You want to keep them guessing. You want to have them, so, like, maybe it would have been better just to, like, pick a defensive option, just roll from the ledge, maybe jump, don't throw out a hitbox. You know, that character has a counter.
Yeah.
And that's one of those you're going to need to keep it in mind. Like, if that would have been like someone like Ice Climbers or some other character who can't counter you, probably would have been a little bit better. They still could have prepared for it, of course. But, like, you want to try and look at each of these characters and take into account their own specific playstyles.
Yeah, like, there's also, like, sometimes when I'm playing, like, I just forget how punishable things are.
Yeah.
Because like so many people let me get away with stuff that when I play against someone really good, it's like, oh yeah, that can be punished.
And
like
that's why you the what we were talking about earlier, you have to kind of like talk yourself into those mental, like, you're gonna have that conversation with yourself as the game goes on. You're gonna go, okay, this is, you know, I need to be aware that this is punishable or that this is safe on my shield, because these better players, they're gonna be more aware about it, right? Like, it's gonna be less likely for them to get hit by something. So you've got to talk yourself through it and go, okay, I can't do this in this spot. And that's just a skill that's going to take time to refine, but I think you're going to do it as long as you keep telling yourself and allowing yourself to kind of learn. You can't get into this, like, stagnant play style where you're never, like, talking yourself through scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I'm good about. Oh, okay. Is that... No.
No, I had, like, 36 MP. It's not going to kill.
That's one thing I'm good about. Like, sometimes, like, I'll just randomly... I have a bad habit of randomly withdrawing in neutral, like, when things aren't happening. And then when I do it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I just did it again, and it did not work out.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, we all have our bad habits. If you go watch my Olimar, I could probably point out a bunch of things that probably are not the best, but I still do them sometimes a bit more than I need to. And that's all right, you know, like, it's okay to have those things. It's just you have to work on identifying them. And I know I sound like a broken record, but it's really just, like, as simple as that. You're going to have to make yourself kind of adjust. Because, like, I can tell you and I can call you out on it more, and I think it's going to help, but at the end of the day, it's you.
Yeah. Okay, that was weird.
I was surprised the armor didn't get off, to be honest. Oh, that's a bad air dodge.
Yeah, and I think I positioned the Nair wrong. I might have fastballed. I'm not exactly sure what I did, but...
Hey, it worked.
I think you can SDI out of it, but I'm not sure.
I think it depends on the way that the Ivysaur's coming at you.
Oh, no, that's reflect. That's checked out. Yeah, so.
Oh, I pummeled like an idiot.
Oh yeah, that happens to me all the time when I play Hero. I always forget, like, Psycho.
Sometimes you just forget.
Oh my god. Okay, that was my fault though.
The RNG, you missed the tech and the RNG said it's over.
No, that happened. No, one time I was playing against a hero player in bracket, and I withdrawed into a whack, and it killed me at 50.
Oh. And that's one of those times where like you are going to get tilted, right? Like that is a
No, that ruined the set.
that
No,
is a
that
tilting thing, and you will tell yourself, and you will believe it in your heart that you deserve to win, but it doesn't matter, right? Like the game doesn't care what you think.
Oh no, bro! I got whacked. No, I got thwacked at the edge when I was at like 50% game 3
It
last
it
stock, and my
happened to
opponent was
me.
like
I was at
120.
Frostbite, and I'm fighting Salem. We start the game. He fares me, F smashes me. I'm at 50. He's at 100 MP. I grab the ledge. He magic burst. I only get hit by the last hit because I timed my roll, and I still died at ledge level. The game started. 3
Oh
hits
my
later, my stock was gone. And it's like, you can be damn sure that tilts me. And then I still brought it back to last hit that game. Like, I went and took his stock immediately after. Like, I did my best to go, okay, that was absolute, bullshit. But I'm confident that I can still try and outplay you here. And yeah, I ended up losing because game 2 he adapted really well. And game 1 I made some errors that ended up costing me later on. But it's like, that's just how it be sometimes.
Yeah. Ooh. Also, sometimes I kind of struggle sometimes to mix up my flare blitz. Like, I feel like there's only so much I can do, and it's like both are really punishable.
Oh,
Like depending on just what.
it is a bit linear like that, and that's how it's gonna be sometimes. So sometimes you might have to just take like one where you just try and grab the ledge, like do the best you can angle wise, or try and incorporate like a really good spacing on like an up B if you can. But sometimes you're gonna be in a spot in disadvantage where you don't have an option, right? You're going to be punishable, and at that point you need to go, okay, well, how did I get in the spot to begin with, right? If I can't fix that problem right there, what could I do beforehand that would have reduced me getting there?
Oh my god.
All right. Oh, shoot.
Okay, I don't know the timing on the play.
I think it lasts 4 seconds or 5 seconds. It's something weird.
Like, I know I could probably just look at the timer.
Yeah,
Like,
that would probably be a good indicator of what it is. I don't know the timing off the top of my head, though.
yeah. In hindsight, I probably could have just done like a flamethrower when I knew it was close, and I could have gotten a lot of damage that way. But you know.
You live and you learn. Now you know for next time.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
There,
Yeah,
the
hero.
platform mixed with the flamethrower was just not the play.
Yeah.
And you saw there, like, I hit you up, I down tilted you, and I was like, my thought process was, okay, it's one of those low knockback down tilts, or up tilt, or whatever I hit you with, right? It was going to, like, pop you up just enough, and I was like, your first response, because this is not just you, this is something a lot of people do, is going to be swing. Because I probably don't have a true combo, so what I do, I parried, right? You know how, like, Mario players always nair out of your combos? A lot of the time you can hit them, parry their nair, and then get another punish. That was the same principle I did there. It's like, I recognize that what I'm doing isn't a true combo, and that you're going to swing, I'm going to do it. Worst comes to worst, you jump away, or something like that, right? And then I don't lose.
And yeah. And you probably get stage advantage because you're about to sign.
Yeah, so it was a educated guess on my part that had more risk or more reward than risk. It was like low risk, potentially high reward. We got time for like one more game, so we'll wrap it up on that, and then I'll give you closing thoughts, and we can kind of just discuss from there and wrap it all up. Oh yeah. No flare blitz now.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I don't know why.
I yeah, I didn't know flare blitz was a projectile, but you take. Well, sometimes I go for options because people just don't know them.
That
Like,
works. Like you can definitely do those things. I hit people with so many knowledge checks you wouldn't believe.
oh, I didn't rush forward with that. That would have been it. Um, what I try, like, I'll like down smash twice in a row. They don't know how little end lag it has,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
then sometimes I'll just randomly like use Ivy Sword's neutral B, which no one uses because it's kind of terrible.
Yeah, it's a very niche
But
option, right? Like you're not going to use it all the time.
but people will literally run into it because they don't know the hitbox of it. Okay.
Alright, GG's. Oh wow, that didn't kill. Alright, let's try it again.
Oh my God, Charizard has the will to live.
So those types of knowledge checks can be good. I mean, that's something that I do with like take Olimar's down smash, right? You know how like I can do both hits of it for double the damage, shield breaks, all that stuff? You
Yeah.
would be surprised how many people, even players like in our region where I played semi-frequently, still hold shield when I run up to them. Or, you know, like our more experienced players and peer players who have fought me more know, like, don't hold shield or your shield will go by. And that's why I don't shield break players like Uncivil as much. He'll just take the down smash. And I think it's good to go for those knowledge checks. It's just like, kind of sprinkle them into your play so it's not just you doing random attacks, right? But like go, all right, I think I can
Yeah.
catch you off guard with this one right here.
Yeah.
And it can benefit you a lot.
Yeah, because that like Ivy Sword neutrally has like a win box that like kind of sucks people up, and it's like and it's disjointable. It's not a good move at all.
Yeah.
But like people will run into it because thinking they can get really close up punish,
Yeah.
but then it'll deal like 20 damage to them. But like I know that can't be like a permanent thing because once you start playing him, people are gonna say, oh, once he does start neutral, he can just I can just like space something from afar and punish him.
Yeah.
If I have like a long enough smash or something.
It's you're the sole person who has to be able to identify when you should go for an option, right? I can't tell
Yeah.
you when. Like, I'm sure if I was to analyze your set, I could go, oh, this might work here. But in the moment, you're going to go, all right, I think I can do this. And you have to gauge that risk reward. And there's not any perfect way to do it. It's kind of having faith in yourself because that confidence, kind of like when you go fight someone like Uncivil Ninja in bracket or something, it's like having the confidence that one, you're going to do something and you think it's going to work because that's why you chose it. And doing your best, that's going to help increase the level of play you're at. Because if you're second guessing yourself, that's when you're taking too long. Giving me 3 frames extra to do something can make the difference between you getting punished and you getting a punish. And that's why hesitation can be such a destructive thing, and why a lot of the times, if you're scared of a player, if you give them too much respect, you can lose because you're giving them extra time. Whereas when you're fighting someone like Uncivil, you're letting yourself play. There's no, oh, should I do that? It's like, I'm going for this. I think it'll work, right? And that's something you want to carry into your play at all times. But I guess to wrap it up, like I was saying earlier, like definitely watch the swinging at a disadvantage thing. Watch those shield options, that shield grab. That's something you're gonna have to constantly tell yourself to do. The next time you're playing in these friendlies or practicing with anyone, or even in like a Wi-Fi tourney or regular bracket or whatever, when you mess up or you do something, go, don't do this, don't do this. Or something, or even when you shield, go, don't shield grab right now, or like no, right? Like prepare yourself, allow yourself to evaluate the situation at hand. You know, if he forward smashes you up close and he doesn't get pushback from it, and you can shield grab by all means. But if he's like back air, don't shield grab that. Like you know you can't shield grab it with
Yeah.
Ivysaur. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe with Charizard, someone a little bit close, like better, faster grab. I think it's frame 6. You could try,
Yeah.
but you got to be careful because like there was a couple times in those hero games where you tried to shield grab, but I got shield pushback and you didn't even account for that. You were just totally oblivious. Like you were dead set on that shield grab the moment I hit. Where had you gone, okay, he got pushback, I can't punish this. Let's reset. It could have benefited you a lot more than letting me get a free punish.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. You gotta be more conscious.
Yes,
of
you
that.
have to be conscious of everything you do. Like everything needs to have a purpose, essentially. But do you have any closing thoughts or questions you wanna talk about?
Oh, one question I have is like inputs. Like sometimes I just overthink them. Like my jab lock, I can do it 100 times in training mode, fine. But in like I sometimes in bracket I'll mess up, and that really like if I miss a jab block, that messes up my mental because that's like giving up a stock. Like I could have had a stock lead if I didn't mess up Squirtle's jab
Yeah.
block, and then I kind of have to
Oh,
reset from
I
there.
know exactly what you mean. Just up until recently, I I just got my controller fixed. I was playing with the fixed one today, but before that, I had really bad snapback, and I've had it for a long time. And I can't tell you how many times I lost because I would run up, and I would go to jab lock, and when I'd flick my stick, it would turn around and I'd jab and I miss it, right? And you get so angry, like, wow, that's so stupid. Um, like I should have got it, and that's that entitlement thing. Like you don't deserve it. You messed it up. That's the end of the story, right? Like you don't deserve it because you messed up. Had you hit it right, it would have been fine. So you have to work better. You're like, all right, next time I'll take a little bit more caution. I'll be a little bit careful, a little bit more into it, and try and adjust accordingly. But that general mind state thing that you're saying, how you get really frazzled, is like going back to what I was saying earlier. Like you have to have the confidence. You have to accept that it happened and moved on. You identify why it went wrong. You don't go, oh, it went wrong. That was stupid. I deserved it. You go, okay, what happened? Was I too slow? Did my controller mess up? Did I mess up? What made you not like finish that scenario as you'd planned? And you go, okay, next time I'll do it. I'll just adjust. I'll be better. And that's something you're gonna have to keep working on because it's so easy to hit it a million times in a training mode, but it's hard when you're in the heat of the moment in a match. DIs flying different ways, it's slightly different timings, but it's just having
Yeah.
the confidence knowing I'm gonna go for it. And if you miss it, you go, all right, let me adjust for it next time. And that,
And then I think about. I feel like it's when I think about it, like when I'm just doing it consciously, like without even think, I have the muscle memory down.
yeah,
It's just when I think about it, I'm like, wait, I've been doing it too early. I'm gonna wait a little, and then it's like I miss it, and
if you're
then
thinking too
sometimes like
much
oh
about it, kind of get hit by it, and then just go, this was dumb. I messed up by it. I messed up. It sucks. And just keep playing the match. Focus on what's happening next. Who cares? Your
yeah
body will probably adjust. And if it doesn't, then you're going
yeah
to work on it after that set. You're not going to worry about it there, right? Maybe instead of going for a jab block, you'll just go for another tech chase or something.
yeah
You'll let yourself adjust accordingly, and then you'll try and identify it later on when you can. Maybe you'll play friendlies with someone or a money match with someone in a somewhat serious setting, and you'll go, all right, let me see why I'm not hitting it here. Where you have a little bit more leeway. If you mess it up, it's not the end of the world. It's not bracket.
yeah
But you have to push it off there and go, okay, I know why I messed up. I'll adjust next time. Back to the match. Back to focusing on what I messed up on.
yeah.
But other than that, you good with anything else, or do you have any last questions?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much good with that.
All right. Yeah, I'll get this stuff uploaded soon. I mean, if you ever have any like random questions or something you want to ask me, feel free to shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sounds good. I will talk to you later then.
I'll talk to you later. See
All
ya.
right, have a good night.